Okay. Going back in time, in the 90s, I studied fine art and philosophy in Germany, in the Czech Republic, and in India. And since early years, I've been doing stage photography and later video. I was always interested in the human condition, and later that focus shifted to the unconscious mind and became more and more a psychological approach. When I was 18, I started with drawings. This is how I got accepted into art school. And a side project of mine was photographing friends and family analog. And this is what I did at the time. On the right side, this is my father. When I was accepted into art school, I had no friends and family around. So I was photographing myself, doing something which you could call stage studio photography. But I didn't really like it. I preferred more to shoot on location, and teamed up with a friend and then decided on certain topics and certain locations. We did a work about the apocalypse, used bits and pieces of the Bible, cut it into little snippets, and then randomly we were drawing one or two lines from the apocalypse and then improvised on this at the northern seaside. Later, I moved to Berlin after my studies, and then I photographed people that I didn't know, and they didn't know that I photographed them. I was on a boat driving around Berlin in a very hot summer, using a mini DV camera, zooming onto the shore, and then photographing those people. And this is why it has this blurry aesthetic. And then later, I decided only to photograph at night, because I just loved it. It gave me more control about the composition, because the city is not so cluttered. And I started my photographs usually with the light situation, and then everything else developed around it. And those images, they look like they all have been staged, but because I was staging photography for such a long time, I developed this kind of way of working where I just go to events where nobody looks at me, or just walk around the city, and at the end, it looks like it could have been staged. From those 4 images, only the one on the bottom left is staged. And from those 4 images, no picture is staged. It's just something that I developed over the years. And I showed this work in installations where I was mixing photography and video works in different sizes, and it became more and more immersive spaces. Another example I can show you here is an exhibition like this, where the images are not hung conventionally. So that means you need to move differently through the exhibition. You need to go down, to go up on your toes, to have a larger distance, or to go more closely to see little details. And this is something that I was known for in the photo community in the last decade. I did a lot of collaborations because I always loved to do it since my studies in the 90s. And for the last 7 years, I'm working with an artist in Bangladesh. And we're not photographing anymore. We're using our archives, and we create new images out of the old images by destroying them. And we have different approaches. Tanvir is doing it hands-on, printing them, cutting them, putting acid on top, and then sending 20 versions of one image back to me. I continue digitally, and then later it becomes that crazy installations, room-filling installations. And that works perfectly. We have different generations, we have different religious backgrounds and cultural backgrounds, but we have the same focus in the human condition. And that was the last big installation I did parallel to the photography festival in Arles, in a space, in a cellar. Everything was removed. Was 2 weeks of installing. Early I started to work with video, because many of the photographs I took gave me ideas to get into time and something that is more performative. And I created little videos and video installations. And this is a work that was also shown by Elena and Olga. No Cure. It's a huge video installation. It's 4 massive screens, and you see those old people singing karaoke to songs by The Cure from the late 80s. And the songs show a despair of a young person. And I wanted to see what is changing if I have people at the end of their lives singing the same song. I got friends very early when she was a student of acting with Sandra Hüller, who is now world famous and was recently nominated for the Oscars and all the other movie awards. And I did a couple of videos with her. And this was a video installation that was concepted either for Windows or big public screens. And she's coming out of the darkness dressed in this night dress and has a sheet of paper. And she's pressing that sheet of paper against the window. So she wants us to read what is written on top, but we can't. And then she's disappearing again. And one and the same action is repeated 3 times, but she is playing a different role. She is one time playing a child who wants to get the attention of her parents. A second time, she's a woman who says goodbye to her lover and drives away in a bus. And the third time, she's a hostage, trying to get attention and help. And she could show her skills as an actress. And I'm not surprised that she has now risen to this world stardom, because she's a true artist as an actor, and she was always very selective in her roles. I think this is how Elena and I met with Spam the Musical. It was more a funny idea of mine when I was living in Australia and teaching at the Victorian College of the Arts. There were so many talents there. And at the end of the semester, I invited colleagues and students to participate in this project. And that was based on email spam. They became alive. They became little videos, Lonely Girls, The Dying Widow. And that was shown in many different forms. It was the most successful video work I have done so far. I think it traveled over like 40 festivals and institutions, and I also had installations of it and different formats. The poems was the work I did at night in photography, but they are also video work where you have a little bit of sound in the background. And I did like those little video works because it gave me a lot of freedom. It opened up new doors. And then in 2015, I did the largest video work ever. It turned out to become a 40 minutes film. And I show you a trailer so you get an idea of what Super High is about.
We have a special treat for you.
So Super High was a mockumentary casting show where a jury on drugs decides upon candidates that try to get high without drugs. So it's breathing techniques, whirling dervishes, staring, having those little gunswell glasses. And it was co-produced by Arte, the German-French TV station, and out of it developed events. And I had 2 events. One is Bundeskunsthalle Bonn, and the other one was Van Abbe Museum in Eindhoven, where the central work was the Super High video. And the people had a parkour where they could try out all alternative methods to get high without drugs. And you had volunteers with a T-shirt saying trip sitter, and you could try out all those different things. And you had a passport, and you got stamps for each method you tried out, and at the end you could get a glass of champagne with the secret ingredients. And that was the first event that was ever sold out at a museum in Bonn, where people lining up and they couldn't enter because it was just too full. It was totally like for the target group between 20 and 30. And following up from there, that was created out of a residency between the cities of Berlin and Warsaw. And I spent the 3 months in Warsaw. That was when in Poland, the PiS party was at the peak of its power, and Donald Trump was about to be elected in the United States for the first time. We analyzed how populism functions. We had 20 little aspects or strategies that populists use, and we tried to illustrate them with little cat gifs. It's still online. You can check it out. It's follow your pet, follow your dot pet. Before the pandemic hit, I met this Brazilian artist in Berlin doing a performance with music and laser, and I met her later at a birthday party in Berlin. And then we did a video recording of her performance. And that was, very appreciated by her and her community. And that community is one of performers that call themselves post-human, that create their own bodies out of latex and new genitals. And because I did the first video with her, with Kupalua, her friends approached me saying, hey, we're coming out of Brazil. We will be in Berlin and do a tour in Europe. Would you like to do a video with us as well? And so I got more and more of these people in front of my camera, and I did performance videos of them. This is another one, Aun Helden. He created a kind of like elephant body outfit with new genitals, and it took me 3 recordings to get to this one. And I'll give you a little idea here. So to give you some background about this work, when I met Aun Helden, I saw like a 20-year-old, young, beautiful man who then considered himself to be gender fluid and created these new outfits. And the first 2 recordings we had, he was posing all the time. And then I kind of found out the reason why he was creating new bodies for himself, because he was abused sexually as a child. And the new outfits he created for himself, the new bodies, also created a new personality for him where he could leave the past behind. And that was then a foundation to create this video where, for me, all of this is in there. So from this, having had as a background and being interested in the human condition and in the unconscious mind, when AI started to break through from the GAN to the diffusion model, I became very interested. And for me, working with AI is like working with the collective unconscious. The training data is a mirror of mankind. I've been doing this for 2.5 years now, and I can take you now through all the experiments I did. I started as a beta tester for WWII 2 in the summer of 22. And I had no idea of how it works, of prompting and different techniques. Been teaching this for 2 years now. But when I started, I just tried out stuff. So the images I created were between photography and drawing, A, because that was the quality of the images at the time, B, because I was a bloody beginner, but I learned so much in challenging the system. What I wanted to try out at that time was to create images with text that DALL-E refused to continue to work on, with in-painting, out-painting, changing parts of it. And that worked perfectly. Yeah, it was very suggestive, and I was kicked off the platform twice. And for me, it was like a digital version of the Jungian idea of the shadow as the unconscious part of our personality that we don't want to see, but hate if we see it in others. So I've been doing this until I was kicked out for the second time. And that was exactly when the open source model Stable Diffusion was released, and that was uncensored. So I got there and I saw what was possible. And the Stable Diffusion 1.4 and 1.5 had a lot of mutations, but I wanted to create more of them. And I wanted to see the limits of text prompting. And so I created these weird bodily mutations by absurd prompts, by asking to have a worm who is giving birth to a wild boar, who is giving birth to a woman, who is vomiting out a man, who is vomiting out a bird, and the bird is going to eat the worm. And this circular description was too much for the system, so it just picked keywords and created these weird mixes of body and mutations of fur and humans. And yeah, my followers in social media hated it. And I said, what you see here is nothing. This is just what I'm allowed to post on social media. Just go and check it out on my webpage. And because of that, in the next project, I tried to combine those things, and I tried to have something that is ambivalent, that is pulling you in and pushing you off. So I had this mix between plastic, poppy, and porn and flesh that I created after and explored in the ambiphilia work. And then from there, I ended up with the famous image on the right side, the Electrician, that is crazily enough now in photo history books, in school books, and in quiz shows. But the reason for me to enter or to create those images is that I was working or started again to work on a project that I started in 2000, which is called Trauma Porn and talks about World War II. This is why I was exploring this 1940s black and white aesthetic. And these had been my early and best results of August 22. So when I decided to make a test with photo competitions, I was choosing this one and two others to apply. And 3 times I got shortlisted, and 1 time I just won this award and refused it. From there, I moved on to Pseudomnesia 3. In the summer of 23, I was invited by a high-profile gallery in Panama that represents the history of Latin American abstract art. So I tried to get a fusion between abstract art and what I did in this 1940s photography style. And to get those images is 120 steps. So you really need to build it up and to have several features and workflows combined. And yeah, you see by the titles, psychoanalysis gone wrong, that my focus is still, yeah, psychology. And yeah, it's no wonder that my wife is a psychologist too. So talking about trauma porn, it started in 2000 when my father died. He was born in 24. He went to war when he was 16. And like most people that survived the war, never talked about it. But he had flashbacks at the end of his life. And today I know he had post-traumatic stress disorder. But in 2000, I was not aware of this term. People didn't talk about it in these terms. So trauma porn was an experiment for me. I started to collect images on flea markets after my father's death. And then I started again 3 years ago, just by chance, because a friend of mine reminded me of this body of pictures in a box. And then I started to collect online on eBay. And there's a lot of images from World War II. The Nazis encouraged soldiers to carry their own cameras. They had their own photo albums. So there are much more images from World War II photographed by German soldiers than by Russian, American, British, or French. And this material is still somewhere in boxes, forgotten, rediscovered, and sold. And what I wanted to create is a work in 3 different chapters, using the authentic photographs and mixing them with generated images. So what you see here is all generated, and this is a part of the installation. The little framed images here are the real photographs from the 40s. Everything else is generated. And an example of how I got there is using authentic images of the time, and then you blend them. But this is just the beginning. Then you have to think, where can I take it? Yeah, what could it stand for? And it takes quite some time to end up here, where it's a fusion of the Olympics aesthetic and a Bavarian meat dish that also looks like a helmet of a soldier. Or you take 2 scenes like this, and you blend it, but yeah, where can you take this? So this is the result, where that bone from the meat dish is appearing again, and the little people are crawling up that bone into nowhere. So Tanvir was also using the material, my artist friend in Bangladesh, and doing his analog, the crazy stuff with it, putting glue around it, putting acid on top, and sending me the pictures. And then digitally, I continue and take it somewhere else. And the 3 parts are: the first part, it's a totalitarian system gearing up for war. And here you see with a little brown frame, these are the authentic pictures. And the second is about war. So little trigger warning, you will have real images coming up now. These are authentic, and the rest are generated by us. And the third part is the aftermath. It's the void, where you often see the backside of images or empty, missing parts. As an installation, it premiered at the IPMA Festival in Kaunas, over 200 elements. And you see here, it's a variety of wallpaper, the little images, and then the generated images in a similar size. But from the very beginning, it is clear that everything that has a brown frame is authentic. And they interact. The authentic images is what has happened in front of the lens, and the generated images is how was it perceived, or how is it remembered. And if you look at the material I chose, at the end, you don't know what is more crazy, the real pictures or the generated pictures. Part 2, war. There's also like an image of my uncle who died in war, who appears. And in the installation, I created a language that is constantly developing, where I added nails, where it becomes more and more 3-dimensional. And this is something you're going to see soon. So yeah, you see that the nails reappear. Sometimes images are nailed onto pictures or turned around. And after the war, it's a lot of like emptiness, lost things are not seen, are hidden. You only see the backside, silhouettes of things that are close, where people are silent, where you only have fragments about. I also did hide a part of an image here on the backside. I did an installation at the pop-up gallery of Marat Gellman a year ago. And because that space is huge and has no walls, I created my own walls out of those little rusty cloth hangers that I found somewhere on a secondhand metal scrap rubbish bin. And here the language developed further. I used the first aid stuff to fix images, to put them up there, to combine this. It became more and more an installation, and images that were wallpapers in the past are now printed on cardboard, are cut into pieces, and are now an installation of this work. And with every time it's shown, it's going to evolve. And the next step for me is also to incorporate moving image in this. So after this, I created images that still work with black and white and a photographic style. But still until today, it's very important for me to keep little irritations in the image that are able to tell you, no, it's not a photograph. And what I did like is that now those images can be animated, are becoming little movies. And here's one of my never-ending stories. It's little sequences that have a loop and that play on endlessly, like the video poems I did 10 years ago. And those video works have been quite successful. Yeah, they are not that old. It's like May, June. I got a commission for an event with an orchestra that worked with composers, AI, and a robot arm, and also an interest for the opera in Zurich, Switzerland. So what I'm doing right now, and this is going to be premiered on Sunday at the Norderlicht Festival in Groningen, Netherlands, is still work that is with black and white and having those irritations where you can tell, wait a second, something is wrong. I could get rid of it. I still want to have it in. And this work for some of the creators was too much. I don't know why. And it's now out of the church where it could have been shown, and in the back part of the Norderlicht Gallery with a trigger warning. I don't know why. Many of those images have now, or the works have two parts that correspond. So it's not a single image anymore. It's like duets between two images that kind of correspond to each other. And the commission I did for the orchestra is the following. They played Johann Sebastian Bach, Terry Riley, and the new piece with a robot arm. And they considered to be the concert hall as Plato's Cave. And I did the overture. So I created Goldberg's Cave, having sequences that happen in caves, where it's about evolution. You have apes, you have people, you have a person that looks like Bach, and the sound is also generated and is an echo of Terry Riley and Bach's Goldberg's variations. And in the past, when I did my video works, I never had a cut. So it was always like no camera movement, more like a performance in front of the camera. And now I'm also creating those little videos that are not jumping between scenes. It seems like it's a one take. Next thing I'm going to do in March in a museum and in the south of Germany is this experiment. They show a retrospective about a German artist that had her biggest time in the 60s, lived in Paris, and created very grotesque and explicit puppets. And this puppet on the left is Mick Jagger, how he was in the 60s. Yeah, with big red lips and, I know, golden penis. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing it alive with artificial intelligence. So in the style of Kuhn Weber, I'm going to create a Taylor Swift. And there was a mutual performance of Satisfaction of Mick Jagger and Taylor Swift 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm trying to use this recording, but have the puppets, doing the song. And the technology is advancing on a monthly basis. So I hope until early next year, I will have all the tools that I need. That was the stuff for the opera, but that is my artist presentation. And if you now have 10 more minutes time, I can talk about the difference working with AI to how I perceived my role as an artist before. You want me to continue?
We already have our next artist, but I think we can spare another 5-7 minutes if it's okay. Axel told me that there's no problem. Axel, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. It's totally fine. Don't worry. My
Perfect.
baby is just that. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, Boris,
problem.
please go on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go on. So this is how it started, doing the tests for festivals. They didn't want to talk about it, that it was AI. I offered them to disqualify me. It never happened, so I refused the award. And then I somehow became poster boy of AI debate, which is a quote of a German paper. I'm a little old to be a boy, but I'm happy that this image traveled and that I'm traveling and talking about the topic, and I'm staying there. And this is all I do since 2 years, working with AI, researching AI, thinking about it, talking about it. So the difference I saw in photography and AI, most photographers go out into the world. They are present at a certain location. They interact with whatever they have in front of their lens. Working with AI, I don't need to do this. I have become a couch potato. I'm sitting here at the laptop. But the potential of working with AI is it is an inner journey, because I need to think about what I would like to create. I have to interact with my own preferences, my own self to create the image, where in photography, most of my colleagues first interact with an outside and then with themselves. And the big question is, who is creative here? Who has the lead, man or machine? Depends on the person. If you have no background in image making and AI, it's the machine who is going to decide most of it. If you have a knowledge of image making, you can do much more informed prompts and you have the lead. And if you work longer with those platforms, build your own workflows, your lead is becoming stronger and stronger. Most people are afraid that the AI is going to become an artist. I often say, I don't see it, because it will be a poor definition of art. For me, art is an expression of the human condition. If a machine would do art, it should express what it means to be an artificial intelligence. Plus, AI has no intentionality. It doesn't want anything. It needs a prompt from us first. I love working with AI because I work with my knowledge. And the only limit is my imagination. And I give you an example from text prompting. These are all the things you can define. What should be on the image, then you need to specify, solidify it, because if you only say dog, you get a statistical average of the training data. You need to specify what kind of dog. There's an emotion, vibe, action, location. And then there's a part where my personal experience in image making comes in. What kind of medium should it be? Should it look like photography? There's a technological part. It should look like a specific camera, shutter speed, lens, etc. was used. There's perspective, colors, light, references, which is much more than style. It could be a decade, could be an art historical movement, could be an online platform. Then there are genres, and then technical boosters can try to create an image that looks like it has more or less pixels. And that part is where I was trained in staging stuff. And if you're coming from storytelling, you could also use that system and say the first part is the story and the second part is the telling. And most people oversee that the creative workflow has 3 different steps. And I'm in the first prompting and evaluating, and the evaluation is very important because I need to decide, is it good enough? What is missing? How can I refine the prompt? Start again with a different prompt or a different workflow. And the role has changed from my perspective. For me, working with photography and video, where it's an individual perspective, I'm the solo singer, it's my personal voice. But now I'm working with a training data, which is not my voice. It's a choir. It's an anonymous choir, and I don't know even how large it is and what is in it. So my role is now a conductor. And I need to connect with the training data and to create some kind of harmony that works for me, and to connect my subjectivity with the collective of the training data. And this is something that was very connected to text prompting. But I also see that since early this summer, more and more features are released that move away from text prompting. It's too complex for people. People are lazy, so they tick a box and say, enhance prompt, and then the AI does something, I don't know. It doesn't even tell me. So in the future, the prompting and the evaluation will become outsourced. I think that's okay. If you are running a business and you want to have maximum profit, but as an artist, I would never outsource prompting and evaluation because this is how I connect with the machine. And the role is now changing towards this. We are now in a bar. The creative person working with AI has all the bottles with the history of image making behind and is now creating a visual cocktail out of the ingredients. And it just needs to have the right blend so it fits for a certain purpose and audience. And that means more copyright problems that we have, but then it's on the side of the single user. And I can upload any image as a reference and have it blended and mixed and say, use this image and it should look, use the style, use the light, use the composition, whatever. So the question about the future of intelligence and creativity is big. I'm jumping over this, that intelligence and creativity is not really defined, and that we have many creative studies that tell us we are replaceable, and they all check alternative uses. What can you do with a toothbrush if you're not brushing your teeth? So the big question is, what is creativity? If there are different forms of creativity, can all of these forms be taken over by AI or not? And I've been interested in creativity theory for a decade, and the only person that has a theory that could help today is her, in the late 80s. And she came up with this theory 20 years ago. Even that time she was working with AI. And she divides creativity into 3 different parts. One is combination of given content. We see this all the time on Instagram. It's Batman dressed as Barbie. It's mashups. The second is exploration, and it's looking at the structure and perspectives. I'm sitting here on a table. I have a limited perspective on the room. The AI would have all of it. Look behind me, under the table, under my chair. And this is where there will be a lot of progress in science. So we have combination exploration that is attached to the training data, given content, given structure. And then the big question is, can we jump out of it? Is there a transformation possible in creativity that is not working with the given content and given structure? And can AI do it? And that is debated. And that is a very interesting question that needs more research. And I also think that right now, this is not evenly spread across the different forms. I think the transformative part is the least, and the combination part is the biggest of them. And my perspective for the future would be to get something like an augmented creativity, where being forced now to reflect what creativity is, and then being able to outsource combination and exploration to AI, we can focus on the transformative part. But it also means to set up a workspace where you have all the material you need to feed an AI to do combination and exploration. So we can focus on the transformation and make that part bigger. So I think it's my call to action that we really do have to do more research into this to come up with future perspectives of how man and machine can collaborate, because it's said they are going to be a team. That's the end of my talk. Thanks for listening.